Welcome back to the county seat. Our topic today is Senate Bill 221. It was authored by Senator Ralph Okerlund, and he'll be part of our panel discussion. Let me introduce them. Mark Ward from the Utah Association of Counties. Senator Okerlund, thank you for joining us today.
Good to be here.
And Commissioner Doug Heaton from Kane County. Commissioner, thank you for joining us. That was quite a drive for you.
It was fun.
Let's start the conversation with what prompted the bill. I mean, obviously, it's tied to the Wildlands Initiative, but how did this come about?
Well, it came about obviously as a result of the Wildlands Initiative, and I received a call from UAC, Mark Ward and Brent Gardner from UAC, saying, is there something we can do to work together to get codified into state law a lot of the work that's already been done by the counties? And I was more than willing to do that, having been a county commissioner for 13 years in one of the public lands counties, and having had the experience of working on the resource management plans and knowing how that process has developed. I understood how much work has been done by county commissioners across the state. They've just been for years in working on these resource land management plans, getting very detailed, specific information and including it in their plan for each county. So it made sense for us to work together with the counties as the state and to create Senate Bill 221, which will codify all of the information from each of those counties and make sure that the state and the counties are consistent in their approaches to public lands issues. And so the bill actually contains language from each county's land plans. All of the specific information, where every road is, where every trough is, where every power line, mine, abandoned mine, anything that shows that there have been people in the lands. The state now has consistently all of the same information that the counties do.
Is the BLM or the federal government in a position you think they're going to challenge this?
No, I don't think so, because federal law says that BLM resource management plans must be consistent with state and local management plans. And SB221 is essentially a state public lands management plan that draws specific attention to lands which extreme environmental groups think ought to be made wilderness, and says, no, it should be managed traditionally. And so what it does is play right into federal law that requires consistency and coordination between the federal government and state and local governments.
From a county standpoint, counties have already had management plans and they've worked on them, and there's been very little consistency. So if they're not going to respond to county consistency, do you think state will help?
I think having it a part of the state plan will make a huge difference. But a lot of the problem historically has been that county commissioners did not understand the FLTMA requirement for consistency, coordination for consistency. We didn't understand what that meant. And so in our ignorance, we did not press the issue. We did not attempt to require the federal government to coordinate for consistency. And I think that picture is changing very quickly, because now I think all of it, thanks to, in large part to Mark Ward, almost all of the counties in Utah now are well aware of that requirement. And in fact, we just had a meeting in St. George a few weeks ago where we met with the BLM and asked them, why did you not come to us to coordinate as required by law?
And what did they say?
They dodged the question for the most part, because what was the answer? The answer was, well, you didn't know about it and we didn't enforce it. That was the only answer. But I think now they know that we know what they are required to do. So I think it's going to make a huge difference. And now thanks to Senate Bill 221, we now have the opportunity to, not just as counties on an individual basis, but as a state, unified, say to the federal government and these management agencies, you have to coordinate for consistency with local plans.
Was the bill hard to write? I mean, you had 29, well, I guess probably, 27 of 29 counties submitting information?
Yeah, well, it takes some time to get consistency in all of that. And as I was saying a short time ago, this bill is very well written. Legislative staff did a great job of coordinating all of the information that we had presented by the counties. but then also working with our state public lands office, DWR, Utah Institutional Trust Lands, the governor's office, their planning department. So there was a lot of coordination that had to take place with all of the information that's in the bill. But the bill is very well written. It flows. It tells a story, and it doesn't just mention each one of those counties and their plans. It talks about consistency in policy and what our expectations are as we work with the federal government. So I believe it's a tremendous tool for the state to be able to use not only in negotiation, but if we get to a point where we have to litigate on wildlands issues or other special designations on federal lands, we now have the ability and the background to be able to do that because this bill is so well written, so inclusive, and timely.
So, Mark, do you think that there are other areas that are rural county issues in relationship with land and the federal government that a similar bill could be applied? Obviously roads comes to mind, but
absolutely. You have roads issues, you have oil and gas issues, you have grazing, you have vegetation management. You have a number of any kind of resource that is available on the public lands. You generally have an area of discussion between state and local governments who have their own vision and extreme groups who want to shut off access to that. So this bill serves as a benchmark to rally around. Both at the state level and the county level to argue, and as Senator Okerlund said, litigate if necessary for consistency.
Did you have a sigh of relief when this went through, Doug?
Kane County has stood alone for a long time in our war with the federal government over our roads. It is a tremendous sigh of relief to see the state come on board, to see the other counties. Originally, I think the general consensus were we were a bunch of cowboys down there who were probably a little out of line. I mean, how dare you challenge the federal
Certainly,
government?
if you listen to some of the local Salt Lake newspapers, they definitely painted you.
That was the perspective. But now, and everybody else is starting to see what the final devastating impacts of those kinds of land management policies can be on the local economies, especially in counties like ours, where we have like 8% of our county that is actually in private hands and the rest is all public. We depend, our livelihood depends on our ability to extract minerals from those public lands and do all the other grazing and all the other things that we do. That's our livelihood. You take that away, we're in trouble.
Well, this is probably something to answer in detail when we come back after the break, but that raises a question that, in your county in particular that I'm thinking of, and I'm thinking of the Analyst project and that low sulfur coal that lies out under the monument. Could similar such legislation lead to a way to finally start processing that and develop it? I mean, could a state law be passed that might open up that door to get that going again? If this one sticks to the wall, then maybe something else could stick to the wall following that, and we could make some headway. And that will be the discussion of our topic when we come back to wrap up this discussion about Senate Bill 221 here on the county seat. We'll be right back.
I think renewable energy and wind farms is a good way to go. We have a lot of land here to do that with, and the opportunity will grow as time goes on.
If a person wants to work in Beaver County right now, they can find a job.
I can't think of a better legacy that I could have left for my town.
What are the words that describe the perfect destination? Finding them all in one place is easy if you know where to look. Millard County in the heart of Utah offers ATV adventures, rock crawling events, art festivals, and nature at its most epic. Millard County, Utah. Find out what you've been searching for.
In order for there to be adventure, there must first be a land that offers it. In order for there to be discovery, there must first be something undiscovered. It's time you discovered northeastern Utah's dinosaur lands, the trails, water, beauty, and history that have been 65 million years in the making. Take your journey to a destination where adventure is only limited by your imagination. Join us in Uinta County, Undiscovered Utah.